But that lady, that new press secretary, she's a
that
gangster.
video, dude.
She's a gangster. Have you seen that video?
You've never
Jamie?
seen someone more prepared for a question in your life, Jamie.
They're prepared. And you know why they're prepared? Because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated.
Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to They have mocked him, they have shamed him, they have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up.
What seemed like just another morning of heated opinions and studio applause quickly turned into something much bigger. Karoline Leavitt, a fast-rising political voice and outspoken supporter of free speech, has reportedly hit The View with a massive $500 million lawsuit, leaving the panel under intense pressure. $500 million. And the timing couldn't be more dramatic. Sonny Hostin took aim. Joe Rogan answered with sharp criticism, and what started as a typical daytime TV exchange suddenly became a battle over reputation, influence, and who really gets to shape the public narrative.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah. Let
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Mm-hmm. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness.
The comments hung in the air, sounding part like a lecture and part like a joke, painting Karoline Leavitt as more of a target than a political voice. She stayed calm, sitting upright with her papers neatly arranged, looking directly at the cameras and the co-hosts without losing her composure. Joy Behar's remark got a few quick laughs, but they carried a noticeable edge. Then Whoopi Goldberg leaned in, speaking with a sharper tone and animated gestures as she launched into a speech about wokeness and opportunity. The atmosphere on set shifted fast. It no longer felt like light daytime conversation. It felt like the opening moments of a much larger showdown. This was more than morning TV. It had turned into a cultural debate playing out live. So buckle up, and if you don't want to miss what happens next, be sure to subscribe and stick with us.
Sonny Hostin on The View thinks entering the country illegally is not a crime. Karoline Leavitt knows different.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal because he or she is undocumented. That is a civil offense.
It's a federal crime.
So to call people illegal in and of itself, I think, xenophobic.
Because they illegally broke our laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
Karoline Leavitt stayed quiet, her hands folded and her eyes focused on the host. To many watching at home, it felt like two very different viewpoints colliding. One side pushed for a new way of looking at the issue, while the other stood by more traditional ideas. As soon as the clip spread across social media, people quickly took side. Some praised the discussion as a show of compassion, while others questioned illegal arguments being made. But inside the studio, the biggest story wasn't the applause or the silence. It was how a routine morning conversation suddenly turned into the center of a much bigger cultural debate.
It is a privilege to cover the United States, and I said it in my first briefing. We are going to hold people accountable that push lies, and the president believes deeply that American news outlets should be reporting the truth.
And that's where the story takes a dramatic turn. What happened next pushed this clash far beyond a TV debate and into the middle of a reported $500 million legal battle. Stay with us, because the biggest twists are still ahead.
Their argument that this administration is not standing up for the First Amendment is preposterous. You have a president of the United States who, within hours of taking the oath of office, welcomed journalists into the most intimate corner of the American presidency, the Oval Office, to ask him questions for more than an hour on every topic under the sun. He has done that on a near daily basis, and when he's not doing that because he's too busy with meetings, even though he'd love to do it every day, I, as his press secretary, am out there. We have administration officials going to the cameras every single day.
Karoline Leavitt wasn't about to let the comments slide. While some might have brushed them off as just another heated TV exchange, she chose a different path. By filing a lawsuit, she made it clear she believed there should be limits on what can be said at someone else's expense. To her supporters, it was about protecting her reputation, not backing down. Then the story took another turn when Joe Rogan weighed in. He didn't hold back. He sharply criticized The View, accused the show of double standards, and argued that Karoline's lawsuit was a calculated move rather than a sign of weakness. And if you thought the tension was already high, wait until you hear what Rogan had to say next about daytime television.
But that lady, that new press secretary,
As you all know, over the past month, the president has taken questions from the press, all of you.
Dude,
she's
you've never seen someone more prepared for a question in your life, Jamie.
Nearly every single day, sometimes on multiple different occasions in the same day, on any topic any of you wish to talk about.
She was so prepared for this.
Well, she's supposed to be prepared.
That's why I
Jamie.
said you've never seen someone more prepared.
President Trump set the tone on this approach immediately when he took more than 12 times the questions in his first few hours in office, as Joe Biden did in his entire first week.
They're
that
prepared.
specific question,
Yes,
though.
because they're prepared.
Yesterday, we hosted a local media row here at the White House with television and radio stations from across the country that reached up to 60 million viewers and listeners.
And you know why they're prepared? Because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them.
The tension had been building all along, but Joe Rogan was the one who cut through the noise. In his view, this wasn't really about politics. It was about putting on a show. He argued that reporters were trying to corner Karoline Leavitt, but she turned the pressure back on them, flipping the situation in a way that caught people off guard. His audience laughed, but there was a serious point behind the humor. To Rogan, this wasn't just about giving the right answers. It was about surviving in a media environment where every exchange feels like a fight.
Joy Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
We went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons.
I checked it. I checked it.
He believes in dragons.
The lady goes, did you double check this? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did.
This is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News.
By saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement.
And he also thinks that dragons, like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
You didn't listen to what I said.
Another clip appeared on the screen, showing The View laughing and dismissing him as the guy who believes in dragons. Rogan mocked their delivery, repeating their double checks and triple checks in a deadpan voice. The studio burst into laughter, but his message was serious. He argued that while they claimed the credibility of legacy media, their attacks came across more like comedy than journalism. For his audience, it wasn't just entertaining, it changed the way they saw the debate. The panel no longer looked like the final authority, and Karoline Leavitt's lawsuit began to seem less like a reaction and more like a calculated move.
When I was on there, I really had no idea how it was going to land with the audience. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way. And I responded to it in the moment, as I do.
I think Sunny's very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
You know, that's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded.
Then Rogan took the conversation a step further. He pointed out that The View once welcomed Trump with smiles and friendly conversations, but after he won the presidency, he argued, the tone changed completely. Rogan compared it to a TV show where the characters suddenly switch roles from one season to the next. In his view, the reaction seemed to depend more on the storyline than on consistency.
The real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house.
South African president paid a visit to the White House yesterday, which turned into a surprise presentation on conspiracy theories of a white genocide in his country.
I think the problem with that show is that show has this a very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her.
By this point, Rogan's message was clear. In his view, this wasn't just about one host or even one lawsuit. It was about a media culture he believes operates inside an ideological bubble, one that shuts down opposing views and then mocks anyone who challenges it. Between the jokes and the sharp criticism, many listeners found themselves laughing at what they saw as the irony of it all. As always, the clips and quotes featured in this video come from real public sources and are presented for educational and documentary purposes. Now let's get back to the story.
But that lady, that new press secretary, she's
that video, dude.
She's have you seen that video?
You've never
Jamie?
seen someone more prepared for a question in your life, Jamie.
Have you seen that?
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
Small point on that, not the big point, but small point. She was so prepared for
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, she's supposed to be prepared.
That's why I
Jamie.
said you've never seen someone
You know
more
why?
prepared.
For that,
They're
for that
prepared.
specific question.
Yes,
though.
because they're prepared. And you know why they're prepared? Because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated them.
She came in there with that Elon Musk flamethrower.
Play that video. Play that video.
Like Leonardo
even like
DiCaprio.
By the next morning, the headlines had already moved beyond one lawsuit or one heated exchange on The View. The story had grown into something much bigger, a reported $500 million dispute that sparked wider questions about trust, free speech, and the role the media plays in shaping public opinion.
You see that they're willing to lie in the news. You see they're willing to push narratives that just are not true.
So it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has
Ma'am,
consistently
we're going to stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking my
Trump
colleagues.
to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you
I'm
continue
stating-
to attack my colleagues.
It's just so hard to imagine how you can sustain the American people's trust. And if you don't sustain the American people's trust, you're going to keep losing money.
I would like to talk
I
about Joe
am
Biden
stating-
and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are
And
here to
we-
speak on his behalf,
and I
I
will
am
do
willing to
that.
have this conversation.
Now, I know CNN made it of somewhat of a concerted effort to try to be objective for a while. They brought on Scott Jennings. They've changed a bunch of things in that regard, but it's still like some of the panel talks they have. You're just like, what planet are you guys even living on?
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to
the
come back out to the
expectation
panel.
for-
Thank you very much for your
expectation
time. You are welcome to come back at any point. She is welcome to come back and speak about Donald Trump.
Outside Rogan's studio, the picture looked even more complicated. CNN was reportedly struggling with ratings. MSNBC faced growing criticism, and many commentators argued that public trust in the news had fallen sharply. One widely shared clip showed a host ending an interview mid-sentence, which some viewers saw as another example of presentation taking priority over open discussion. It all led back to the same question. Was Karoline's move reckless, or was it a smart response in a media landscape already under pressure? Either way, Rogan had plenty to talk about, and his audience wasn't about to tune out.
I think the mainstream media took the biggest hit out of anybody.
Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisors? There was no classified information in there.
I've now been asked and answered this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday.
The trust in the television shows and the newspapers that are supposed to be delivering the truth is at an all-time low.
Sorry, my follow-up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip.
I have a
Caitlin, I'm not taking your follow-up.
Pretty obvious. I mean, the ratings are down on every fucking show there is.
Caitlin,
Regarding
I'm not
Jeffrey
taking
Goldberg.
your follow-up. Philip, go ahead. I've called on you.
CNN is, no one's watching it anymore. MSNBC is a ghost town.
Again, I have now been asked and answered the same question using different language multiple times. If anybody has another question, there's a lot of different things going on in the world.
No one's watching these shows because they're all just lying.
We have tariffs possibly being implemented later today. The president is going to talk about that at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
They're still lying. They're lying constantly.
Haley, why can't you call on all of us? I don't call on activists. I'm not an activist.
By this point, the lawsuit had become more than just a legal filing. It had turned into a high-profile public battle. Karoline Leavitt was no longer seen as just a young press secretary by her supporters. She had become a symbol of pushing back, choosing to respond through legal action instead of staying silent. Meanwhile, clips from The View continued spreading online, often being shared more for the drama than the debate. As one columnist joked, it felt more like a soap opera with coffee mugs, laughter, and side glances than a serious policy discussion.
But that lady, that new press secretary, dude, she's Have you seen that video?
You've never seen someone more prepared for a question in your life.
You noted he is a successful businessman. Do you know if the president has any plans to meet with any of the folks involved with any of the family businesses over there, or see any of the sites that are going to be...
Not to my knowledge, and let me just get to the premise of your question that both of you have raised. I think it's frankly ridiculous that anyone in this room would even suggest that President Trump is doing anything for his own benefit. He left a life of luxury and a life of running a very successful real estate empire for public service, not just once, but twice. And again, the American public re-elected him back to this White House because they trust he acts in the best interest of our country and putting the American public first. This is a president who has actually lost money for being president of the United States. I don't remember these same type of questions being asked of my predecessor about a career politician who was clearly profiting off of this.
What started as a heated exchange on The View has grown into something much bigger, a reported $500 million lawsuit, a cultural flashpoint, and new material for Joe Rogan's commentary. Karoline Leavitt now finds herself at the center of a headline-making legal battle, while continuing to build her image as a political figure who isn't afraid to challenge the media. From serving as a press secretary to running for Congress, she has embraced direct confrontations with legacy outlets, using each clash to strengthen her public profile. As The View faces renewed criticism over the line between debate and daytime drama, Leavitt continues to present herself as someone willing to push back against the established narrative.
Perhaps or illegal behavior if staff members were signing the President of the United States autograph without his consent.
Is on the record talking about issuing preemptive pardons to these people.
But was he aware of his signature being used on every single pardon? That's a question you should ask the Biden White House.
Is there any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out.
Okay,
Sean.
It's a bold move that could either backfire or strengthen her public image. For Leavitt, it appears to be a stand based on the belief that accountability matters, even when the outcome is uncertain. As The View faces fresh criticism over the line between debate and daytime drama, she continues building a reputation as someone willing to challenge the media. That leaves one big question. Is this lawsuit simply about defending her name, or is it another step in a career built on pushing back? One thing is clear, the story isn't over, the cameras are still rolling, and the next chapter could bring even more surprises.
Have you ever seen that video? No. Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
This idea to put a ban on stock trading for members of Congress is even a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is rightfully criticized because she makes, I think, $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of approximately $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio grew 70% in 1 year in 2024, and her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year, and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway.
For her supporters, Karoline Leavitt wasn't just defending herself, she was pushing back against what they see as a media culture that blurs the line between political debate and entertainment. Critics, however, question whether the lawsuit was a genuine stand or a calculated political move. Either way, it kept her at the center of the conversation. What began as a heated exchange on The View has grown into a reported $500 million legal battle, a cultural talking point, and fresh material for Joe Rogan's commentary. Now, the focus isn't just on Leavitt, but also on broader questions about media, free speech, and where the line between news and entertainment should be drawn. This video is based on publicly available reports, aired broadcasts, and public commentary. It is presented for news analysis, commentary, and educational purposes. If you're curious to see how this story develops, don't forget to subscribe and join us for the next update.